Welcome to Eventvods. Watch the full game from EMEA Masters, Winter 2025.
55 minutes or something as a game.
Was,
to then see a defeat logo in front of you, that takes a toll on everyone.
Yeah, we're heading into the draft for the first game between Los Ratones and WIE EINFACH. Something we didn't really touch upon yet, but I do want to quickly talk about Temporal. This is that jungle matchup because I feel like both junglers, Afroboy and Valia, have quite a similar playstyle. Would you agree with that?
I'm going to expand on that because it's not quite true. I think Valia takes a lot of pressure, even when he's on the Ivan and when that came up in finals. There's the carry, there's the playmaking, there's the setting up. Otherwise, it becomes the threat himself. Afroboy becomes the threat, but it's not just the Viegos, it's not just the tip of the meta that is damage oriented. We saw a Z out from him in Last Chance. We've seen them actually execute the Darius and succeed in the tournament, which so far, from the matches I've watched, has not generally been the most advised strategy. So the Rats taking away that Darius, they're going to look to try and contain the chaos. And our Prime League casters earlier on did mention that no one has managed to contain Afroboy quite so well, and they took it really well to big in the finals.
Oh wait, they actually take away the Sion.
It's a priority pick. Rocco,
okay,
you know, he is also a rock, like Baus wants to be. So not
they call him Der Stein in German, which is basically
Stein. You know
the
what?
Stone. Yeah.
Cheers, buddy. It's a good time.
But yeah, taking away that Sion, of course, is one of the signature picks that Bowser has, Tibby. What do you think the answer is going to be? Are they going to answer the top lane immediately here, or going to go for something else?
Well, looks like they are going for the flex here. They are trying to use the Maokai as that flex between Valia and Bowser as well, but I'm not sure if this can actually even be for Reckless. I'm not sure what the Rats have been preparing for this match in particular, but the fact that Baus gets to play against Sion is still a good thing, because if you take away the Sion, he has plenty other picks, and most importantly, he knows how to play Sion, so he knows how to defeat Sion. He's been on the losing end of the matchup quite a few times. So right now, they are keeping it secret by adding a Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath can be played for Nemesis as well.
Nemesis, Crowny, both, I believe, have played this in a scrim. I haven't been watching all the Last Return scrims. Sorry, everyone at home. You're going to have to fill me in, perhaps. Viego, also a big pick. I was expecting Rock to go towards what he normally does up against other tanks. If tanks become the priority in the draft, this guy goes to Kale, he goes to Shen, he goes to his deep farmers that influence the rest of the map or pull a big draw. To see him go to Sion means that, in my mind, EV have got a big plan for this game. They're looking to squash bot lane. That is inviting an Ezreal from Crowny here before the second round of bans. It's the only AD who goes hard against Varus in the lane and then continues forwards. And it is the sort of style that Lost Returns played yesterday and want to move away from.
Yeah, and then they pick up here the Tristana. We saw yesterday Nemesis already in the mid lane. I mean, I don't really see it going to bot lane, do you, Tibby?
Not really. Not really. I don't think Tristana will have the best of times against Varus in the early game. Of course, Tristana will get a bigger range as far as the game goes, but still on the earlier levels, it's going to be really rough to be able to beat down a Varus on such a strong laney phase that he has. So I'm still with Temporal on this one. There might be an Ezreal coming in for Crowny, one of his most picked champs anyways, and it seems to be the regular answer in today's meta to face the Varus on the bot lane. So,
unless they take it away and they force him on the Sivir again. Temporal, I said Sivir, you started smiling.
Are we gonna see a third Sivir in a row? Like this wasn't in my bingo card.
With the setup, you might just take a losing lane, which is why the Braum's been banned, because the Rats have taken losing lanes with Braum to deny engage and deny the snowballing out of control. I'm kind of feeling Azeri. It's really rough into the Varus, but everything else EV are trying to set up, and with the Lost Returns having the Cho'Gath, having the Maokai in the front line, we want to look to Crowny to be a bigger linchpin than yesterday. I wouldn't say he had a bad set, but he had a set where he couldn't take over, where him and Nemesis couldn't be the absolutely bona fide insurance. Tristana's a part of that. They now have to look for something else. His Corki has been excellent this split, and I wouldn't mind seeing it here very fast on the burst damage.
Oh, but no.
Tibby, here you go again.
Here you go.
They're both acceptable into the variant.
Wow.
For sure.
Okay.
I feel like it's the matchup we've been seeing like almost all tournament.
Yeah.
I think this is such a such a resident sleeper matchup gonna be brought in here. Now I do wonder what AV is gonna do to round out the draft. They're still looking for a mid laner or an AP carry to sort of say. I think the Victor here could be interesting to give them some late game assurance that they are going for.
The biggest thing here, you got to look for access from support. The Sivir is very mobile, and you get that one get out of jail free card. The Tristana stands away. A Nautilus isn't the guaranteed access he would normally be here, and it does mean that you can take that Maokai down in bottom lane and have a pretty good time with it. So the Lost Returns would get extra freedom from that. Does come through, and will be the case. I'm not sure that was the target access that EV needed.
Yeah, Nautilus here being picked up to round out the draft for EWI, and now it's on Lost Ratones to go for that last pick. Yeah, we're still looking for a support. Tibi, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm feeling it might be a Rakan angle here. Just like the previous match with Big against Team Phantasma, Rakan and Sivir were working pretty well, but then there we will have an enchanter here. It's Lulu for Reckless, which actually rounds up the team pretty well. I'm just not sure if they have all the engage they need. Of course, they have value with the ultimate. Is that enough? Is there something that EV can do here to deny that engage and then just run with it?
I feel like if Victor gets far enough ahead, a Lulu will not save you and will not allow you to play that backwards and forwards that you need before the Sivir can shred through a fight, before the Tristana gets a big bomb off, before Baus can get multiple knockups to reduce the effective uptime of EV. I do like their comp a little bit better. The Rats have done a little spin on yesterday, but this isn't a huge departure from their game 2 composition.
So what's the early game plan gonna look like for AoE? Because I feel like if they want to make some moves, then early game is gonna be very very fun. I would say. Temporal, what do you think?
A huge degree of freedom here with these picks, even though they're not like necessarily super scaling. You're into a Sivir who can choose to push some waves, the mana bar more easily depleted before we get later on in the game, before the Tristana gets to outshove a Victor with a few points in his E. They can have a lot of freedom. I'd like to see them pick up first grubs, threaten second, and let the Scion loose.
Now, Tibi, you do want to say, if there is a person in this game that knows how to play against a Scion, it would be Baus.
It would be Baus.
Can we maybe highlight a bit more on the Cho'Gath Scion matchup, how that will look like a bit? Do you have any idea?
Well, obviously the Cho'Gath immediately works against the Scion because it will basically never let the Scion fully charge a Q. That's never gonna happen. There's Rupture and there's the Silence that basically denies most of what the Scion can do damage-wise. Also, if the Scion decides to go for the proxy, as we've seen Baus do many times, Cho'Gath can manage quite well as well. One Rupture and the auto attacks empowered by the E make sure that the lane is easily cleared, and on top of that, the passive keeps the Cho'Gath healthy. So I don't see Cho'Gath ever on a losing side of this matchup just by the top laners alone. Of course, still vulnerable to ganks. Diego can show up and can do a lot of damage, and there goes the Cho'Gath as well. But I feel like it's still a tank versus tank matchup, but Cho'Gath will never realistically be on the losing end.
Yeah. Temporal, you mentioned when Tokimo locked in that Nautilus, you were like, yeah, I'm not sure if that's the pick that I would go for.
Yeah.
What did you say that?
The Rakan would have allowed a huge degree of freedom. It does make you vulnerable to a Renata Glask pick, which is maybe why EV didn't choose to go towards that. And that's a very valid choice if you're worried about a Berserk to give Sivir and Tristana the space in the late game team fights that they so desperately want to play. But it would allow you to get Velia and Baus looking back towards their own team and buy a huge amount of space for your carries as soon as Relative and Noz2 get through the front line and get a little bit of space to play. They are advantaged right up until 4 or 5 items comes.
Yeah, 4 or 5 items is basically a lot, because that's almost like
it's gonna be another deep one. You know what I mean? We're gonna be here
another long one.
Yeah, because let's cover the names then, Tibi. Looking at the draft purely, who won it?
Well, I I would say the more solid draft right now feels like it's Ratones' draft, but at the same time, I'm questioning if there's enough damage. Of course, Sivir and Tristan are gonna do loads. Is there a lot of AP damage? Is Baus gonna build a lot of AP on this Cho'Gath, which means that he just one-shots any of the carries if he gets to get too close?
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. On the Ratones side of the draft, I'm a bit disappointed by the Lulu, because as Temporal said, if Victor is enough ahead, the Lulu is not gonna save anyone. And the Lulu itself makes sure that, okay, the laning phase is just gonna be Crowny shoving waves. What is the Lulu gonna be doing? Absolutely nothing. If it was a Rakan, for example, he could roam, he could help Valiant invade, he could gank the mid lane, do whatever. If it's just the Lulu, I'm not sure what can be done here.
Yeah. I mean, as you may have noticed, we're stalling a little bit as there are some issues coming out of this draft before we start into the game. I'm not completely sure on what is happening within the game, if they are back in draft pick, but for now you're gonna have to bear with us and have to wait before the game actually starts. Now, as we mentioned, let's recap everything we just said. EWI is the final hope for the Prime League. It is the final German team that is in the tournament, as Big was just kicked out of the tournament, played out of the tournament, 2-0'd by Team Phantasma from the Greek region. And then Los Ratones, the first seed from the NLC, they're a bit, bit unexpected for them to be here. And they're kind of needing to show that what happened yesterday against K-Core Blue was kind of a misser, and they have worked on making things better. Because I'm pretty sure, Temporal, there were some harsh words being said, because I think after that game, Cage was like, yeah, we're going to shut off stream, we're going to have some talk.
So I've watched it back a bit. Obviously, us here on the cast, we haven't got Caedrel open in the side screen, but I did watch some of the players' reaction post-review. They don't feel too bad. I think sometimes you do need a...
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for your patience. My name is Trajan. I'm joined by Rev here for the cast on Los Ratones versus AV. Today has been the day of the downtrodden. Rev, Orchid got to watch Zenit, historic, personal best for Benelux, top 8 finish. Rev, you're here representing the HLL, the Greek League. Team Phantasma just knocked out Big. I'll be honest, I'm feeling a bit left out. Where's my win? Where's the NLC win?
I mean,
I need to see it.
Is the NLC really the downtrodden? Historically, sure.
We've been downtrodden for a hot minute. Don't tell me we're not washed.
I was saying, like, historically, sure. I even remember you losing in like 18 minutes from the GLL. Oof.
Listen, we
here,
don't need to bring in the details.
Here, I'm not sure you're the one, because I'm looking at the names, and yeah, of course, there are some very, very promising players from the side of EWI, but you're rocking Nemesis, you're rocking Crowny, you're rocking World Champion Reckless, by the way.
Yes, sure we're going to be riding this wash wave for as long as possible, which is probably until the end of this game. Honestly, we'll probably not be able to get away with that anymore. But, they did have the setback yesterday, Los Ratones. They have ended the perfect series streak. So this is about the turnaround here today.
Yeah, we're going to see. I mean, KCB is a force to be reckoned with. I'm very familiar with the coach and their players. Even with all those changes, the Div 2 support joining in, Isma coming only to play for a week, and the Poser now. They're still a very, very strong team, right? Like, anything bad
to get stuck in, Valia's the man to do it.
I mean, however, Maokai is not the champion that, when I have in mind, hey, you can dictate the pace if you lead in the game. It's not the first champion that comes to mind, yeah. I mean, you can dictate the space, for sure, but not the pace. I think you need some support to do that. And, of course, Tristana used to be one of the prime cards to do that. So much pressure in the mid lane, so much sustain as well. You just build it, a Vam Scepter. But nowadays, I'm not really sure what the build is for Tristana and how nice she fares in the side lane, because that used to be the real threat. But with all the mana costs upgraded, with the Q costing mana, maybe Nemesis will not have as easy of a time in the side lanes as he used to do.
My guess is it's just Yuntao something Infinity Edge, like all the good AD carries are that scale these days, right? And maybe just like a Lord Doms if you need it, which might be the call into the Scion. Who's to say how well Rockflow's top lane goes as Afroboy looking to get the party started early onto Baus in top lane. Early flash secured. And the Cho'Gath now walks back in, gets stunned anyway, takes a lot more damage, is gonna survive as Nemesis jumping in. Has to step back from the gravity field, but these trades for Los Ratones aren't going so hot early on.
Yeah, I mean, Nemesis has the extra sustain from the Doran's Blade, but that also means one less potion. I'm looking at relative, still 2 potions, still pretty fine, still doesn't mind rocking these trades. And now, with Velia checking what goes in the enemy chicken camp, he decides to go back on his own. But with Baus having no summoners, having no prio, maybe it's not the wisest move if Nemesis is also half HP.
Afroboy pulling the recall from Velia's topside jungle. Maokai's going to arrive up there and find nothing to do. The camp support, oh, he's got the crabs, I believe, just to spawn there. Going to be able to pick them up. It's interesting to see Reckless on a range support as well. Normally we do see the Rakans, the Engagers, Leonas, these kind of things, but they have embraced the power of the Enchanter just in time of this big meta shift that we had off the removal of lane swaps. And I think this is a good move for Los Ratones to be able to flex that additional genre down in the bot lane.
I mean, as long as I remember Reckless, he was an Enchanter specialist. Like, remember when...
Janna's legendary.
Yeah, the Janna. Maybe sometimes he used to rock the Thresh, but he was a Janna Karma player. All of that stuff, it was his bread and butter. So I'm not too surprised to see the Lulu coming out. I expect to see more of that. But you know what? I'm kind of surprised they haven't pulled out yet. Marksman support. Like, you have one of the most legendary marksmen ever existing in the West. His Ashe was legendary. His Caitlyn was excellent as well. And you don't try and push in the lane like that with lane spots gone. That's kind of weird for me. Yeah,
I mean, the MF and Ashe are still certainly option. The Ashe particularly, right, has always remained with the lethality CDR builds that you come through, just become an alt bot, you get so much vision from it. So yeah, maybe we will see Reckless step back into that archetype at some stage, especially if Fearless continues throughout the season. That's the kind of thing you see in a Game 5 in a best of 5 Fearless, right, when all the good supports have been taken away. And maybe we'll see the Ashe come out. For now, we are seeing Los Ratones rotate over to this Cloud Dragon. They'll be taking it uncontested on Vision, mind you. But there will be no counter. Exactly. Baus wants it by the look of it. He's aggressive moving forward, and Afroboy not with that much health to play with. Baus is not deterred. We see the grub spawning right now, so AV can't get onto it straight away, but now has the flashless Cho'Gath stayed a bit too long? I dare say he maybe has. And AV should be able to clean this one up. Baus really, really wanted this, and they were happy to give it to him.
I mean, First Blood going to Afroboy as well. Viego getting started is very nice for him, but this only was the beginning of the Cho'Gath scaling. He's back with the Symbiotic Souls, his build has hardened, and he has given enough time for Velia to collect the Drake and go back into that pit and try and fight.
They're engaging onto the Victor, but flashing away. Does the Maokai, already dropping so low. AV should have full control of this grub camp. Baus nowhere to be found. The bot lane still shoving in. Nemesis just returns to mid lane. So Los Ratones, they try to contest, but ultimately all they've really done is given up the first blood. Nemesis just about gets away from the stun. Can he dodge the hook though? Where's the Nautilus coming out? Tokilo doesn't want to go for it in the end. Nemesis rocket jumps back to safety.
By the way, is there a new build on Tristana as well?
Oh, the Symbiote Souls? I mean, this feels like potentially just Nemesis wants to build Symbiote Souls on all mid laners because the movement speed is so good. I don't know if we're going to see an actual major difference in like the crit Yuntao path, but if we do, then hell yeah, I'm down.
I mean, I understand the enhanced recall, especially if you want to just solve the wave and then look for a move or try and reset. Like, I like to call that the TF Blade or the Niski playstyle, because that's what they used to do, right? They shove the enemy in the tower and then they look for plays to annoy the enemy jungler to try and influence the rest of the lanes. But I'm not really sure I'm very much behind this idea on the Tristana, because I would love the Merc that's here. Look at how much CC the enemy team has had, which you can then, if they don't layer it correctly, you have the opportunity to rocket jump, especially on a champion like Tristana, which can buffer a lot of crowd control with the rocket jump, unless you're feeling so sure of your capabilities that, hey, I am him. I can just rocket jump out of everything anyways.
That's true. Merc treads are never required if you are him, but even then, you can buffer, yeah, out of things like the Varasol and Sons and Viego, etc. But buffering and getting away from the Nautilus point and click that follows you, it's very tough. And the chain is so heavy that you're right. Perhaps Merctreds would have been the safer option. We'll see if that comes back to bite Nemesis later on as the fights break out. Reckless currently rotating into mid lane to help him crash this wave in. As so far, we are still even on gold. This is the Lost Ratones guarantee. Baus will die, but he will not go down in gold.
I mean, that's the Baus special, right? Look, he still has the extra plate under his belt. He still has a little bit more CS into the side. He knows those champions. He knows every single champion that can be played in the top lane and how to abuse every tempo for it. Now, the second time that he didn't die, or like actually the time that he did die, I feel like it was kind of work. He spent so much time, and even the Victor needed to move. Yes, he gave out the first blood, but it's kind of whatever, right? It's just 300 gold, not even 400 in this season. It's close to nothing. Now, of course, it now really depends on Nafrabo and how much he can abuse that gold lead, because most people can't really.
Yeah, it's that is the special that Baus has, the understanding of where the value truly is and how to keep that gold rolling in, how to not fall behind despite however much pressure is heaped on top of him. And we'll see if AV has an answer to this, right? This is always the question, the unsolved equation that is Balsam's Law. Can you actually gank him and get value? Is a question that nobody in the NLC ultimately was able to ask. Even down to the grand finals, people were 4-man diving this man and somehow losing out on it. We'll see if EMEA Masters is able to find the answer as Orkilio steps a bit far forward, drops the Scion ultimate. Is going to survive it, and he's got some friends in the back pocket just in case, but a tough one, a close margin for Zion there.
I mean, Crowny and Reckless have the patience of a saint, because if that was me, I was flashing 24/7 to try and get that kill. Like, no way, Jose, I'm here, I'm gonna take that kill. What do you mean we have a Drake fight in 30 seconds? I don't care, I need 300 gold, but the item was already completed. The goal threshold has been met by Crowny, so they don't really care about that extra kill on a Sion, especially who would not actually lose anything, right? He would still go in with a passive, collect the wave. You got the ultimate, that's already a huge W for you.
Yeah, pretty much. Still a very solid start. Crowny and Reckless, very reliable. Down in the bot lane, Crowny, of course, the MVP for NLC in this split, is a consistent game-winning influence, and it's not getting drawn into the mess. You know, it's being consistent, it's being reliable, it's scaling up and doing the damage, picking your moments right. That's what separates the quality, the good from the great when it comes to these AD carry players. As Crowny now is going to rotate up to the second dragon. That's what Ratones would love to get to. Quick off the block. AV, though, might be ready to contest them this time.
Velia still has his ultimate. That's a huge space creator, and they realize that they're out manned as well. With Baus making the move towards the mid lane, they might look for a play here.
Rotation flashing in, there's the silence, but they don't quite get the CC down, and Cho'Gath takes a whole lot of damage. Even the Lulu ultimate barely keeps him alive, but it won't for long. First kill to Relative, another traded back. Los Ratones get their first kill on the board as they hunt for a little bit more. Velia's diving deep, flashing out, Nemesis is in, Nemesis is out, the tower shots are too big, and the feat of warfare is AV's.
Oh, that was so close, but everyone from AV were able to turn onto the Baus to make deal with the Cho'Gath before he actually collected with his Q, because if he had managed to flash WQ your backline, then you're done. But even with the Feat of Warfare collected for Eevee, I'm not sure it's both. You're losing plates in the mid tower, you're losing the second trio of grabs, and that's another feat collected for Los Ratones, or at least they don't give you that feat. So with their second Drake collected, they're one-upping you on that.
Has at least been denied. 2 grubs picked up for Los Ratones. Big damage on that mid lane turret, as you say, Rev. So still value picked up for them as expected. But they were looking hungry in that mid lane, dude. They wanted those kills so badly, and they were willing to go to the ends of the earth to find them. That is a very exciting prospect as this game steps on. Even as the scaling is so strong, as you mentioned, Rev, they've got a late game to reach. We saw the restraint from Crowny before, and then we saw the killer instinct from Nemesis and Velia.
Yeah, even in this fight, Crowny flashed in to get that first kill onto Tokimo, so you saw that, hey, we don't have another fight coming on in for the next 4 or 5 minutes, I'm just going in, I don't really care. Now I won the gold, and look at his spike. He's still bootless, but he has the full Yundal Wild Arrows. He has a BF sword, so the most expensive components have already been purchased, and his next purchases can be very, very cheap.
Yeah, and this is really skipping some of the steps for Sivir to get that damage down early. He has no interest in entering a mid-game trough, does Crowley. Wants to get the damage, wants it now, and wants to make these Qs hurt and these ricochets start to shred through the backline. It does put a little bit more onus on the positioning, right? He doesn't have that movement speed at his disposal. He's currently without the flash as well. It's going to be all about the ultimate, about the spell shielding, and about Reckless being able to shield the carry.
I mean, Reckless so far, he almost saved Baus as well, so I think he's at the top of the game, very, very close to his first item, support item completed. Baus, he's in trouble.
Yeah, he certainly is. That's an on me, confirmed. 3 members in the bot side, and there we go. Tokimo actually taking that one away. Never even got to melee range, but still managed to steal a kill, so there's a small compensation for Ratones in the end.
I mean, I realize that Tokimo just wanted his whole movement to not be just rigorous exercise, right? It's not leg day for him. He wanted to be there and participate for the kill. But first of all, suddenly you're making that on me way, way more worth for Baus, because, hey, you used 3 ultimates actually to collect a single Cho'Gath who doesn't even give full gold value right now. It was his 3rd death. And secondly, you're stealing the kill. Yes, of course, you're taking the tower, so the play ends up being worth for EV, but it was a kind of iffy moment, and as a support main, I think that if that was my solo queue game, I would be receiving some very angry typings from my jungle and top laner.
There would be some pings, there would be some harsh words being shared.
Some question marks.
It would not be a pretty sight. Absolutely, but AV have used this to open up over 1,000 gold lead now. They've got the Triumphant Boots on their side, so overall, it is a solid start from the Prime League 2nd seed, having watched Big tumble down into disqualification at the hands of TP earlier today. Now AV carries the region's hopes on their shoulders against a tough opponent here, but they've got a good early game put together as Nemesis needs to back away. 2nd turret of the game, falling for Los Ratones.
Yeah, I really like EV's tempo right now. They do have the full grab, so they have the better pushing power. They're overloading the side lanes. They're getting all that extra money because they need it. We talked about it before we actually got back in the game. Los Ratones, they outscale heavily. If we imagine the game in 20 minutes time, like we're getting 35 minutes in, suddenly the second Baron spawns, it's gone in seconds. You don't even get to take a look at it. The enemy team has so much zone control, so much damage to micro objectives, and if you ever play front to back, it doesn't even matter if you have the best front line. 2 marksmen, full critical, LDR, plus a Lulu, you're not getting to survive those. So they have to run the map right now, and that's what they're doing, and I want to see them to try and collapse into the mid lane as well, because if you manage to secure the mid lane outer turret way before the 20-minute mark, then suddenly Los Ratones will have to abandon so much of their jungle, so much of their zone control, just in order for them to be able to take back some vision.
Found Baus once again, but this time the Ratones are rotating in quickly, and Baus should be able to survive. In comes the Maokai ultimate, multiple roots coming down, and there's the counter kill. Baus with the execution. Los Ratones, they know that you can't resist him down there in the side lane, and they came through to help.
Yep, and that's what you get when you're trying to do the same play again and again. The boy yelled wolf, but the wolf was there, and the wolf got slain. 2 kills for Los Ratones. They even get to go for the Drake, and that's a soul void. And suddenly, I'm feeling way more confident for them just from that one play, because right now, they can just sit back, relax, recline their chairs, and for the next 10 minutes, not interact with the map at all. Do they care about the next Drakes? Yes, they would really much like the soul, but if they are in dire straits, they can leave the next 3 Drakes to just go to Eevee.
Absolutely. Los Ratones with a stabilizing play right here, setting themselves up a win condition down the line as well with the Hextech Soul on the table for the Crowny, and Nemesis would love a piece of that with the double AD carry comp, that's for sure. Now, AV, how are we going to respond right here? Don't be ashamed. Don't worry about it. Everyone's been there. We've all gotten very excited. We got very comfortable killing Baus in the early game. It's good fun for all the family. But at some point, you have to realize it just doesn't work anymore. Okay? No one in the NLC worked this out. K-Corp kind of worked it out. We need to see some learning here from AV, or you're just going to fall down the same trap as everyone else.
I really like for them to go for the Herald at least, because does align with what I ask from them, to just go and try and open up the map, make sure that you can play in a wide map state where you decide where you overload, especially with those slight deep visions that we see in the enemy red buff, in the enemy cracks. You can check where Velia is and then decide, do I really want to collapse into Baus or Nemesis or whoever is in the side lane, or do I just need to try and out-rotate Los Ratones once again? But this Herald can be the difference maker. You most likely won't use it to gain control on the next Drake, but if you can use it and break open the mid lane outer turret and maybe even threaten a little bit the tier 2 at the mid lane or even some side lane, then suddenly you can get the first rotation for the next Drake, you can control the area, and you can make sure that the Maokai isn't as oppressive as he is when he's first in a neutral objective area.
Absolutely. The options are there for AV, and they've still got scaling options. They've got the good front to back. They've got a nice, well-rounded team comp. They've given themselves a decent shot in this game, and they're still holding on to that gold lead, it must be said. Yes, they fumbled that last play onto Baus, but they're still ahead on the map. They will not find the lockup onto Nemesis. Complete rocket jumps to safety. A little check there does not yield them any value, but right now we are just sitting. We are waiting for Los Ratones. I think they are happy to do this, happy to search for that second item spike. Nemesis and Crowny both approaching the Infinity Edge with intimidating speed, and they'd love to have it ready when the next big fight comes around.
Oh, they show themselves, I think, since Relative used the laser from the brush, that means that the rest of his team was revealed as well.
Tempo
But
lost.
now it really feels like a very, very tense game. Los Ratones try to get that spike. Crown already having the Infinity Edge collected. 50% critical chance. The only thing he might be missing is some mana, but with that blue buff he should be fine. And Atakan shows his face. We're already 20 minutes in, and no team has a very good lead to try and pressure that neutral objective immediately.
No. Los Ratones still need to get a couple hundred into Nemesis' pocket to secure the Infinity Edge for the Tristana there as well. As AV putting some vision down around the voracious Atakan. We don't see it nearly as much as we used to after another Riot tuning, but this will be the withdrawal, the extra GA effect on the table if they can pick this one up. Mouse looking for a little play onto the Scion. Nemesis maybe wants a piece of the action, jumps right in. Now let's see how the footwork goes for Scion. Out comes the ultimate, straight into the base.
Wave clear.
Gonna go and clear the wave with it, or not. Gonna just go for full time wasting, perhaps.
No, you're clearing the wave, then you're chilling, you're seeing if the enemy team tries to contest, you can get one more wave here and then play.
Oh, we're doing
the hex
Atakan.
hit.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We're doing Atakan, and nobody can stop them. So the Scion effectively magnetizing Nemesis for long enough. And Los Ratones just didn't have the position, so Atakan easily picked up no contest on AV, and that is a big boon for them.
Yeah, at least they got something back, I want to say, because Crown together with Reckless did get the mid lane tier 1 turret before the enemy team could do the same, and Baus also collecting the bot lane tier 1, maybe getting one more wave because he usually plays greatly like that. But now, with the voracious Atakan in EV's pockets, I'm pretty sure you don't go to contest the next break, right? You don't go for that fight. It doesn't look very even for you.
Yeah.
I would say, but then I'm looking at the ADC difference, right?
But,
And
what if?
Crowny should have another half item ready if he decides to recall over here, and he has just enough time to recall.
Yeah, he's got the TP, they've got Hex Gates, he can move around the map quickly, but he's currently being delayed by Rakilio, who I think is probably doing a great job if he just delays this Tristana from getting the buy and getting back on the map. In comes the Herald, into mid lane, charged him by Tokumo. And that turret is going to fall at the end of it. AV picking up the last outer, and they rotate straight towards the Dragon Pit, and by the looks of it, Los Ratones are on the same page as you, Rev. There will not be a contest right here. The Atakan buff is too strong. And instead, they're going to go and take up some position, get some vision around the top side of the map. Maybe try and get control of midwave, but they won't even get that as Noz is holding it down.
Yeah, I'd really love to see them try and do something on the map like what Velia is doing right now. Just try and overload the top side, try to get something for the enemy's time, because otherwise you're just doing the neutral objective tourist stuff, as I like to call it. But Baus, on me.
Yeah, went for a little pick and ends up getting 4 members of AV crashing down on his head. It's the classic. There is the kill secured. Gets some knock-up, decent damage as well, but they have a wave to push in, and AV seem happy to keep this one rolling.
I mean, tier 2 as well, immediately decimated by the Prime League representative, and now they have, I don't want to say a big gold lead, but it's pretty comfortable. 2k is in their pockets. The ADC gold lead he has all but evaporated, and I'm looking at the Muramana stacks. He's getting closer and closer to the completion of the item, and that's where actually Varus spikes. That's where his piercing arrows will start to hurt very, very much, but Afroboy is going for the very special Viego build, so if he ever gets caught, he's instantly evaporated.
Yeah, there is a lot of threat on both sides, a lot of damage they can pump out very quickly. Finally, we do have the Infinity Edge completed for Nemesis alongside the Dishel Cloak and Longsword. So both the carries are definitely ready to go. We are ready to throw down from Los Ratones. If they can get a clean 5v5, we'll see if they can maybe out-execute on it. But for now, AV have been happy just picking up the towers, rotating around the map, taking the occasional Baus kill where it presents itself, and have generally landed themselves in this comfortable, now 2.3k lead ahead. The 25-minute mark approaches when the Baron becomes live, when that map control really, really starts to matter.
Yeah, we still haven't seen any fiestas, any 5v5 shenanigans. Both teams have playing calm and collected, just trading waves, trading objective. And we're rapidly approaching that 30-minute mark where I feel like EVE will start losing control. So I feel like they have to start and force something. They do have the better front lane right now. Sion should be way stronger in surviving anything that double marksman comp can throw at them rather than the Cho'Gath. Victor has spiked, he has all of his spells upgraded, level 15, not close to level 16, but still. And the Varus from this point onwards, I'm not sure if it's gonna get stronger. He is gonna get stronger, but not relative to the Sivu.
Yes, there will come a time when Crown 8 simply outstrips him and races away into the distance in terms of that value. But now, as the Baron spawns, he's still happily soaking up those minions. He's going to hit 3 items before too long, to be honest. We're waiting for the Infinity Edge spike, and while I was waiting for Nemesis, Crown 8 has almost got the Lord Doms done as well. Yeah. So they are going to have plenty to offer in these fights once again, as AV seems to have slowed the pace down as well. Maybe they're not seeing an opportunity for Baus, who is staying a little bit more tucked up on his side of the map, and they're not seeing easy opportunities to make plays on the rest of the map. So I'm wondering for AV what the plan is now. For Los Ratones, the longer you wait, the more items you get on your marksman. Seems good, right? Up to a certain point, but what is Evi going to say? How are they going to break through and keep this game and this lead growing in their favor?
I mean, I really like what they're doing right now. They tried to choke Los Ratones out of their own jungle. They're trying to collect all the vision in the world and make sure that there's none of it for the NLC representative. They can't really go into the Baron Pit at any single point, and they should do it right now. 3 items for the Varus, very close to the 3rd item for Relative as well. And this is the point where they have to force a play from Los Ratones. Otherwise, I'm already seeing, you called it, Lord Dominic's regard for crowning. Nemesis is also halfway there. He has completed the non-quiver, and Velia is starting to get tankier by the minute, whereas Baus will get more and more damage. And he needs the damage. He gets a lot of HP from his own passive stacks, sorry, ultimate stacks. And from that point onwards, if he gets all the actually AP items, then suddenly Okilo will not be as tanky as it was to be.
Oh, look at the damage onto Nautilus. If we're talking damage, burst from Los Ratones catching the AV support slipping, and are we going Baron off just a support kill, Rev?
I mean, not necessarily Baron, but you can threaten here because look at the ultimates. You still have 3 very important ultimates, 1 that can secure the Baron and 2 that can zone the enemy jungler.
Maokai ult's not gone towards the team. It's tried to catch up the Viego, but it's not found him as the Baron goes lower. It's going to go to the front. Secured by Cho'Gath. The Baus walks away with it. Afroboy, though, claims his soul and gets away alive. Los Ratones, they lose 1. They pick up the objective, but the fight's not quite done. Nemesis steps too far forward, locked up and shut down. Crowny now unleashed, gets a shutdown, but Relative is not to be trifled with. Velia running for the hills as this Victor is still feeling confident, goes golden. And the rest of Los Ratones, I think, have managed to break apart here. 2 for 1, and the Baron for the Rats.
Yeah, I think we will need to get this, this tower, but they're not really sure. They want to play for the Drake, as 3 members are still alive. Baus will spawn in 10 seconds time. His ultimate almost out of cooldown already, and they can go and contest the soul once again.
We desperately want to get this locked in, but look at that. They just don't have the HP. There's a TP coming in from Relative. We had a big impact in that last fight. He's almost got the Rabadons down. Ratones picks it up, bounces here with the ultimate ready to go, but that Victor is still devastating. They need to keep it on track. Victor comes down, but the field is there in the retreat. Secures a soul for Los Ratones, and AV, all the control, suddenly lost. The gold lead shrinks, and the Baron and the soul on hand for the NLC.
And you can see how much game knowledge do these guys have in their team. They found one pick and instantly the whole tempo changes. I'm not sure if he dies, but he loses so much HP here.
Oh, the Scion barely squeaks away as Faust has been holding that tower rigger for a long time.
Oh, the kill!
Now is allowed to step away. The multi-knockups, the shield is there, the burn. Cannot take down Rakilio, and the Baron push continues. Victor is getting the shove on in mid lane. Will be answered by Nemesis. We'll see if there's a 1v1 they want to take right there, but the Victor's going to back away. Quick, smart. The Hex Tech Tristana, not someone you want to meet in a dark alley, and he will step away. So Los Ratones now starting to crack open the base. The momentum entirely back in their side.
They can't keep doing it right. They can't be losing for half the game and suddenly snap back into existence and getting the full control of the game. Crowny 2k ahead, getting towards what is supposed to be a Bloodthirster. Could even be a Blade of the King if he wants to deal with the high HP target first. 3 items strong for Nemesis. He finally completes his own Lord Dominguez Regard. And even by the Riftmaker as well.
Huge gold ejections, huge power injections in the inventory, and Crowny leading the charge on this wave. My man has been waiting to play lead for 25 minutes, and now they're letting him do it. He's got 3 items deep with the buffs on both sides, and now he can lead the charge down the waves. This Sivir has already become an end game menace at this stage in the game. They get the recalls off, back to base, the towers continue to fall, and now it's up to Los Ratones to manage their lead, because AV ended up tossing theirs at the end. They could not hold on to it, and the early Dragon stack for the Ratones pays off, but they've still got a game to win. The Nexus is not done yet.
Yeah, and even though the Baron power play was 3k in favor of Ratones, the goal lead is still only 1500, right? And we're 30 minutes in the game. Those 1500 do not really matter. What does matter, though, is the scaling of their champion. And look how quickly they can deal with those starts. They don't even have the majority of the grabs. They don't really care that the side lane is in a terrible spot. Look at top lane. Relative is always there, always pressuring, always calling for somebody to come there and answer his push. But they don't care, because the moment somebody oversteps from the rest of his team, he's gonna get heavily punished.
Yeah, I am honestly really liking what I've seen from Relative in this first game. The team fights that he's there for have been massively impactful, and he's always picking up value on the map, crashing the waves, but has he overstayed his welcome? Trying to find this cross-map play. TP's coming in, the Maokai ult is there, but Velia steps back, doesn't quite get in range for the full knock-up, and Victor's not quite under threat just yet. Zokomo bashes him for the hook, only lands the front line. Afro Boy there has to ult to safety, and the carries from Ratones have turned up for the party. AV now suddenly on the back foot. Once again, Afro Boy desperately looking for something, but Crowny will chop him down without a second thought.
I mean, Crowny almost didn't get hit for the whole of this fight. Nemesis is also still full HP. Look at that bar. He also executes the enemy ADC. That's an ace. And that's the Ratones, I think, stealing away the first game.
They've got a small wave. They can shepherd it in. 25 seconds on the clock. Tokimo's not going to have much to say about it as a Nautilus. And they do have the double carries, but Nemesis with the back into the TP. I think Los Ratones are committing. They want to get this game won and done and dusted. Not mucking about with the risk of throws like we saw from them against Carmine Court Blue. They're trying to chop the waves down. The tower's the next target. Faust with all the HP in the world can tank this for days. And even though Relative is going to come off the fountain, it is not in time. Los Ratones splashing onto the fountain for style points as they secure the Game 1 victory.
Who cares about KDA? You just need 2 fights. And actually, 3 fights, I want to say, because the first time they got the lead is